and rolling in a matter of moments. We are about 6 weeks away from the start of UVA's college football season with the Chanticleers, Hootie?
That's just correct.
The Chanticleers. And what did you say the Chanticleer was? It was an ugly bird?
It's a rooster.
It's a rooster.
Yeah.
It's a rooster. The Chanticleer's a rooster. What an interesting mascot name, the Chanticleers. 6 weeks away from the Chanticleers coming to Charlottesville for a 6 o'clock kickoff. Crazy to think about that, but basketball continues to be the toast and talk of UVA's fan base, as this Ryan Odom-led Virginia team may have the best front court in the ACC, and certainly one of the best front courts in all of college basketball. Goodness gracious, expectations are sky high, and it looks like a United Nations roster, this Ryan Odom team.
Yeah.
We got a little Dutch, a little German, French.
Nigerian. Is it Nigerian?
Hugo is he Nigerian, Hugo?
Maybe.
Now we know what we're going to call him. We're going to call him Hugo.
Hugo, yeah.
Yeah, Hugo is good.
It's a lot easier.
It's a lot easier. So a lot we're going to cover on the program. He is Nigerian. He played at Kansas State and Kentucky. And then we got a couple of Charlottesvillians, Carter Lang and Chance Mallory. We got a known commodity and Elijah Gertrude, and a lot of transfers on the team. Like and share the show. Charlotte, North Carolina, welcome to the broadcast. Our friends in Richmond are watching the show right now. Northern Virginia always represents. Southwestern Virginia always represents. We're going to have a lot of fun on the Jerry and Jerry Show. Jude, are we live on YouTube, my friend? Yes. Oh, you're the best, Jude. And we're live on my Twitter account and Hootie's Twitter account? We are live on Hootie's. Goodness gracious. We're going to have a lot of fun today. I miss my friend Hootie Ratcliffe, who may be at, is it ACC kickoff next week?
Next week in Charlotte.
Okay. All right, Judah, we can rock and roll and have some fun when you're ready. Good Tuesday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the Jerry and Jerry Show. Thank you kindly for joining us. We are fresh from vacation. My family and I, a fantastic trip to a beach on Long Island. Judah Wickhauer, our director and producer, his family took a trip to Maine, and I believe the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer, was it at Smith Mountain Lake you were at?
Must have been somebody else.
It was not you? Did you not have
I went to Graves Mountain for 4th of July, but that was...
That's what I saw.
I was not on vacation.
That was what I saw on your Twitter account.
Yeah.
Graves Mountain for the 4th of July for Independence Day. A lot we're going to cover, guys, on today's program, including this Virginia football team that is a mere 6 weeks and change away from the start of its football season. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers hit Scott Stadium for a Saturday evening kickoff to start what is undoubtedly a must-win season for the head coach and his coaching staff that, has a completely remade roster here. I mean, Coach Elliott's got a completely remade roster. So we'll talk about that with Hootie Ratcliffe. We'll talk basketball. A lot of folks are saying that Ryan Odom's team has the best front court in the Atlantic Coast Conference and one of the best front courts in all of college hoops. That conversation on today's show. The Major League Baseball draft saw 7 Wahoos having their names called. And now, heading to a Major League Baseball professional career with a start in the minor leagues. That conversation on today's show. And Connor Schellenberger named an assistant coach with Virginia Lacrosse. Goodness gracious, July used to be a sleepy time for sports fans and sports content creators. Not anymore, folks. Judah Wickhauer, fresh from his trip from Maine. If you can go to the studio camera in a 2-shot and welcome the star of our show, Jerry Hootie Ratcliffe, my friend, A lot to cover, including the resignation of Jim Ryan and how it impacts sports at UVA. But first, I start with scatter shooting with Jerry Ratcliffe on the Jerry and Jerry Show.
Yeah, lots happened during your 2-week absence. You shouldn't
go
away.
That's so crazy. It's always like that.
Yeah, it does seem that way. Anytime you take a break, all hell breaks loose, it seems like. But, I mean, like you said, it used to be a slow time of the year. People called it, then the media called it the dog days of July and even June to some degree, but no longer. I was talking to Scott German last week when we went over to Virginia's rare summer basketball media gathering. A lot of other schools do that in the summer, but Virginia, during the Tony Bennett era, we had no access to anybody in the basketball program from the last day of the season until essentially till the ACC tip-off in October. So it was a delight to be able to get up with Coach Odom and some of the players last week. But Scott German and I, once we got into the parking lot that day, we looked at each other and said, this isn't college sports anymore. It's professional sports. And no sooner had we uttered that, we saw a player drive up in a brand new, looked like right off the showroom floor, a beautiful blue-colored Mercedes Jeep.
Wow. A G-Wagon.
Yeah. So
those aren't cheap.
No.
Those are 6 figures plus.
Yeah. And I said,
there you go.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
And you know what? Props to the players for earning some money while playing college athletics. I think we're both of the mindset that this completely needs to be revamped or at least structured. We're a ways away from that, but hopefully it's heading in that direction. And speaking of structure, how about the Board of Visitors accepting Jim Ryan's resignation while I was gone on vacation? Goodness gracious, all hell breaks loose on Cars Hill. Jim Ryan's resigning. He's moving out of the president's mansion. He's going to stay at UVA as a law school professor. J.J. Wagner is going to fill Ryan's post for a little while. There's some rumor and scuttlebutt that esteemed economics professor Ken Elzinga is being considered as an interim only, president at the University of Virginia. Too much scuttlebutt there, but I'd like to ask you a specific question that I think certainly applies to the athletic department. Jim Ryan's resignation, how does that impact UVA's athletic department? Let's start there.
Well, that's a good question, and I don't know that I have an answer for it, but the last time we heard anything in that regard was way back in this, I guess, maybe in the winter or early spring when there were rumors flying around that if Jim Ryan would go, then the Board of Visitors might take a look at the athletic director's position since she was given a contract quietly
on the hush-hush
during December, and it was not made public until FOIA requests revealed that. There was some talk then that the Board of Visitors was not happy with that move and might look to replace the AD if a new president was on board. So I really haven't heard anything else about that since. I'll have to give Carla Williams credit for 2 really good hires since then. Of course, one of them was an automatic no-brainer in bringing Chris Pollard on board to replace Brian O'Connor. I mean, that was almost automatic. And the Ryan Odom thing was probably an easier search than a lot of people may have anticipated, and certainly she had a lot of guidance from some past players in that effort. But I really don't know where that stands at the moment. I haven't heard anything through the grapevine one way or the other since those early rumors back in months and months ago.
Carla Williams has since launched her own podcast.
Correct.
A way for her to kind of, either control the messaging or provide some insight from the athletic department. She's hosting the podcast along with, I believe, John Freeman,
Yes.
the voice of UVA. I'll do a follow-up question for you here. The dynamic in Charlottesville, something we follow closely with our daily 12:30 show, the I Love CVille show, is the Glenn Youngkin Board of Visitors. Youngkin has appointed all the BOV members now, the governor of Virginia, are very razor-focused now to hire a new president. And the expectation is that Abigail Spanberger, who's running to replace Glenn Youngkin, she's a Democrat, is heavily favored to beat Winsome Sears in an election that will happen this November. So the Youngkin-appointed Board of Visitors is focused on making a hire now before Spanberger gets in office early next year. Curious, I know this is a sports show, not a politics show, but I'm curious if a new hire should be sports focused, a new hire, if it's not sports focused, the impact it could have on the University of Virginia. There's a lot of dynamic here because one of the highest items on expense items on UVA's financials is this athletic department. And it's certainly one of the most front-facing items of the University of Virginia.
Well, I think at any Power 5 conference university these days, the president has to have some kind of good feeling or have a finger on the pulse of the athletic department, because it's such a big part of those kind of universities now, because it brings in tons of money, spends tons of money, and it's a way for the alumni to unite under one blanket, and gives the university incredible advertising that it couldn't buy on its own, national publicity. So I think any president at a Power 5 conference university today has to be well versed in athletics, or at least be surrounded by people who are, and be able to take the temperature of that department, because it's a major part of all those universities, and particularly in today's world with the NIL and all that going on, it's tapped into the alumni base like nothing ever has before.
A lot we're going to talk about. Renee Pettifer watching the program right now. We're going to get to Renee's comments here in a matter of moments. We have a handful of states watching the show right now. Here's a follow-up question for you that's an intriguing one. New president hired, happens sooner than later. If the football team struggles out of the gates, what can that do for potential job security with the athletic department, with the athletic director? If football struggles and a new president who did not extend the athletic director is on Cars Hill in the president's mansion?
The temperature, the hot seat gets really hot, because this is Tony Elliott's make or break year, and who knows what the fault line is going to be in terms of where success is determined. Is it 6 wins in a bowl? Is it 7 wins in a little better bowl? Is that enough to satisfy the fan base and the power hitters? And if football struggles, then attention goes directly to the AD, because that was the one major reason she was brought in here, was to straighten out football. And if it's not straightened out after this season, then a lot of the finger pointing is going to head straight toward her office.
It's a very interesting time to follow Virginia athletics, folks. A president being hired, an athletic director, and a football coach certainly linked because she hired Tony Elliott, a football coach coaching for his job right now at a time where the athletic department is trying to roll out a new seat licensing plan where they're going to ask their fans for more money for seats at the John Paul Jones Arena. A lot of wrinkles happening here. We'll talk basketball. It seems to be all over the Jerry Ratcliffe website, jerryratcliffe.com. I'm getting this comment all over the feed right now. How talented is this team, Hootie Ratcliffe?
The basketball team?
Yeah.
Very, I think. And you mentioned the front court. I wrote an article about that. I asked Ryan Odom about that last week at our little get-together. I mean, you look at Virginia's front court, and you have, assuming that the NCAA is going to give clearance to, and we learned the new correct pronunciation of DeRidder's first name. It's Tess.
Tess. Okay.
Tess DeRidder. I'm assuming that the NCAA is just trying to determine how many years of eligibility it's going to award him, 2 or 3. I think everything else is pretty much cleared up, and it's just a matter of time before they get to it. As Ryan Odom said, that with fall sports beginning, a lot of the NCAA's attention, legislation toward eligibility and things of that nature are turned toward the fall sports at the moment, and they'll get to basketball in a little bit later. But if you consider that Tess DeRidder will be here at some point, and Johan Grunwald is already here and practicing, and Ugo is here practicing as well.
I'm really going to like Ugo.
I do
just
too.
For his name.
He's a big dude, too. I saw him for a few seconds shooting the ball the other day. But and we're talking about 2 guys that were projected as second-round NBA draft choices in the same front court, along with a 7-footer who is very physical, has lots of experience, and has expanded his game a little bit. We saw him make 3 straight 3-pointers, which is was pretty amazing considering his size. You would think a guy like that is going to be down on the block and doing nothing but protecting the rim, but Ryan Odom mentioned that day that
he's a good shooter.
That he can shoot the ball a lot better than they had anticipated, and so they're toying with that to see what could possibly happen. The big German is already a huge 3-point threat. He can stretch. He's a stretch 5, and Ryan Odom said he hadn't had that in 3 years in his program. Out at Utah State, he had a good 3-point shooter at the 5. I mean, that's 3 powerful players who not only are physical, and that's something that's been missing from Virginia basketball for a while in the front court, is some big physical dudes who don't get pushed around. And
maybe since Jack Salt.
Yeah, and he was by himself and offensively limited. And so these are different animals. And not only can they shoot a little bit and protect the rim and rebound, offensive rebound, which is something we didn't see a lot of previously either. And just watching some videos of some of the practices, some of these really good Virginia guards who can penetrate have been videoed driving the lane and drawing the defense and dumping it off for alley-oops to these guys. So I talked to a couple of the Virginia guards about that last week, and it's almost like they were frothing at the mouth at the opportunities that are ahead of them in terms of being able to alley-oop the ball to these big dudes and let them go to work.
Let me ask you this question. Michael Guthrie, watching the program, love Michael Guthrie. He bleeds orange and blue. He says, I always appreciate hearing Jerry Ratcliffe's insight.
Well, Michael's a great dude. Known him for a long time, and a real credit to the community. And had the pleasure of playing golf with him once. he and I and Bowen Sargent, the UVA golf coach, we played one day over at Farmington, and I still remember that day. It was a lot of fun. But Michael is a terrific guy, and he definitely knows Wahoo sports. He's at all the events.
He knows UVA sports inside and out. Hell of a softball player. Michael Guthrie knows how to make a deal. All around great community pillar, Michael Guthrie. Sincerely mean that, Michael Guthrie. This is an extremely difficult question, and this is beauty is in the eye of the beholder. In the preseason and on paper, is this the most talented Virginia basketball team we've seen in the last 20 years?
Wow. It's hard to say because that 2019 team was
loaded.
Pretty darn
Yeah.
good. I mean, you look at all those guys on that roster who are either in the NBA or have had a taste of the NBA or playing somewhere professionally. What is it, 5, 6, 7 of those guys have played professionally?
You had Braxton Key.
Yeah.
That's one. Sam Hauser wasn't on that team. Ty Jerome.
Kyle
Guy. DeAndre
Hunter.
Mamadi Diakite.
Jay Huff.
That's 6. I mean, that's a loaded team right there.
There might be one more I'm not thinking of, but I mean that's a lot of talent. Are there 7 guys on this roster who may play in the NBA? I don't know.
That's a great question. You have the 2 European big men that were projected second-round draft picks. The front court has depth, but I'm not sure the front court has NBA talent, at least on paper right now. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, because, if you're a second-round draft choice, which 2 of those guys were projected as, you're still you're
You gotta make a roster.
You're a 50-50
Yeah.
as far as making an NBA team. So I don't know. And then there's some really good players in the backcourt, but are they NBA caliber? I don't know that either. They're good college players, but it's yet to be determined whether they're next level guys.
That 2019 national championship roster, along with the NBA players that we mentioned, Braxton Key, Kyle Guy, Ty Jerome, DeAndre Hunter, Mamadi Diakite, Jay Huff. Also have Jack Salt, who's playing pro basketball right now.
I think he's retired now.
Cody Statman, I believe, is playing pro basketball right now.
He might be, yeah.
Yeah, Cody Statman. So there's another guy. Do we know what Kie's doing right now? Is he bouncing around Europe?
Yeah, I think he's bouncing around. I don't know if it's Europe. It seemed like I saw his name attached to somewhere in Japan or China or something. I don't know, but I think he's still trying to hang in there.
Okay, so this team, folks, the current roster, front court is loaded. Here's a really challenging question. Preseason, what does the starting lineup look like for Ryan Odom?
Wow. Well, I think you would have Grunlow at the center and DeRitter at the power forward.
Okay. Grunlow, guys, is the German who's 7 foot. DeRitter is the Belgian who's 6'8". Both those guys are stretch 5s and stretch 4s.
Then I think the kid from BYU, I think, will be the starting point guard. He's 6'4".
Dalen Hall.
Yeah, Dalen Hall. Really well put together, very poised, looks like a good leader. Gosh, I can't. There's so many new guys I can hardly think of.
I was having that conversation with somebody yesterday on the Padel court, and they said, "Can you name a single guy on the roster for Virginia?" Malik Thomas, maybe at the 2.
I think Malik Thomas will probably be the 2 or the 3.
Yep. Jakari White may see some time in the starting lineup.
Yep. That could be your starting lineup right there. If I had to put money on it, I think that would be my starting 5 at this point.
What this team also has that I'm excited about is not just front court talent, not just backcourt depth off the bench.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, Odom, could play, and he's going to do it because he's going to play an aggressive style. It's not Nolan Richardson baseline to baseline, 40 minutes of hell with the Arkansas Razorbacks. But he is going to get in the crawls of a lot of teams defensively and rotate a lot of bodies in and out on the floor here. I mean, seems to me they go 8, 9, maybe 10 deep.
Yeah, I would think so because, like you said, they have playable depth. And there's two things other than just the size and the front court that I like about this team is, one, they've got a multitude of shooters as opposed to just one or two like many of the Bennett teams had, where if one guy was having a bad night, the defenses could load up on the other guy and make the remaining three beat them, and often they couldn't. And that allowed some inferior teams to hang around, threat of pulling an upset or making it a nail-biter to the end. And this team seems to have just so many good shooters on the floor that there's going to be a couple of guys that are hot. And if they're not, you just put some more in and see what happens because they can all shoot. And that's by design. The recruiting was definitely by design to go out and get guys who can shoot. I like that. And then a lot of those guys are older players. We used to hear Mike Bray talk about stay old if you can, former Notre Dame coach, and that got harder and harder to do because of the portal. But this team through the portal has a lot of guys 22, 23 years old. And so this team is old. It's experienced. They've seen it all. And I think they will use a lot of bodies, and which I think will help Chance Mallory get on the floor as well because he's such a good athlete. There's just a multitude of talent and depth on this team. And, he could go 4-guard lineup or he can go big. There's a lot of options for him and this basketball team.
Viewers and listeners, put your comments in the feed. We'll relay them live on air. Michael Guthrie making the program better. He did a little research. Kie Clark, who this will put things in perspective. Kie Clark is 25 years old, ladies and gentlemen. Kie Clark will always be, in my mind, that first year who made the greatest pass in UVA history to Mamadi Diakite. But he is 25 years old. He is an American professional basketball player for the Mexico City Capitans of the NBA G League.
Okay.
Thank you, Michael Guthrie. I learned something right there.
Yeah.
The Capitans. A guy who plays with tremendous heart, Kie Clark. The expectation of this basketball team, Ryan Odom hasn't coached a game. Hasn't had a real scrimmage with another team.
Nope.
And the fan base is saying ACC championships, and national and global media are saying this is a top 10, top 15 team.
That may be premature. There's a lot to be excited about, but you never know what's going to happen until you get these guys together. And, it looks like they have great camaraderie from talking to a few of them last week. They hang out a lot together. Chance Mallory was joking about taking some of the guys to Jack Brown's down here on the downtown mall and how they loved it.
I suggest the Greg Brady burger if you're going to Jack Brown's. It's my favorite burger.
I've got to try that. I've never been there.
Have you been to Jack Brown's?
I have not.
This is Judah Wickhauer's stopping ground.
Okay, Judah.
When Judah Wickhauer is single and ready to mingle, he goes to Jack Brown's.
Okay.
He's one of the mayors of Jack Brown's over there, Judah Wickhauer.
I'm glad to know. I'll drop your name next when I go over there, Judah. But yeah, these guys, they seem to have really good chemistry off the court, which helps build chemistry on the court. And Grunlow and I think Carrera were just getting to town last week when we were talking to the team. And obviously DeRitter wasn't here, and I think is still not here yet. So all the pieces are slowly coming together, and Ryan is going to try to give them as much of the offense and defense as they can handle right now, and then continue that process once practice begins again in the fall. But he's trying to give them as heavy dose of it as he can. To go ahead and label them as a top, a Sweet 16 team or whatever, certainly there's potential there. But, the rest of the ACC hadn't just been out sitting on their hands. They've been trying to rebuild their rosters too. Not sure many of them have done it as well as Ryan Odom has. But, you really don't know what you have until you get it on the court and see how it connects together. We've seen some other teams here in the past that we thought were going to be good.
Many teams.
And
especially of late.
It's like, somebody deflated them or something, and they never lived up to the expectations. And I don't think this team is going to be that way. I think this team is going to be really good, but I would curb your enthusiasm until we actually see these guys play.
Is that a Larry David reference?
It is. It is indeed.
One of my favorite shows.
I love that show.
That show is absolutely genius.
He is a genius.
A comedic genius. An absolute comedic genius. Michael Murphy says, welcome back, gentlemen. For those that are just tuning in, we were off the last couple weeks because of some vacation and some R&R with the families. Now back in the saddle. Renee says, this could be Louisville 2.0. This Ryan Odom basketball team. And she makes a reference from cellar to penthouse, a hootie euphemism there, with what happened with Louisville this past season and the previous season. We hope, my fingers are crossed, that this is Louisville 2.0.
It could very well be. It really could. There's the potential is certainly there for him to do that.
Well, and this is not fair. This is certainly not fair because the man hasn't coached a game. With this new ticket plan that they're rolling out, pay more money for the seats at the John Paul Jones Arena, the pressure is sky high.
Yeah, and I don't think he feels that pressure. I think he just wants to focus on building the program and building the team to be all it can be, and he'll let all that other stuff take care of itself. But so I don't think he's the one feeling the pressure on that right now. I think that pressure will be directed in another direction, but I think he's concerned about just winning basketball games.
Comments coming in left and right. Interesting comment right here. Does Chance Mallory see the floor?
I think he does. In this system, had it been the previous system, I don't know. It would have been borderline depending on the personnel, but in this system, I think there's room for him because he's just so athletically talented and full of confidence. He can play. I mean, I talked to 2 or 3 of the other guards, and they were blown away by his athletic ability and his knowledge of the game and his moxie. So I think he will see the floor, and there's always room for another good player. I think it's going to be impossible not to play him because he's going to be that good.
And the style of play Odom's going to run.
He's definitely going to run on both ends of the floor.
Right,
so.
Absolutely. Comments continue to come in. I promise we're going to talk football. We talked Jim Ryan at the beginning of the show, the resignation of the school president and the hire with the Board of Visitors and how it could impact sports. I understand a lot of people are asking that question. We're talking basketball because, let's face it, the basketball team with this transfer portal and with the new head coach is constantly in the news cycle. I'll ask Cootie one more question here because I see it all over the feed. Who's the alpha? I'll change the questions that are on the feed and ask this. Who's the alpha dog on the team? Who's the go-to scorer? Tie game, crunch time, ball in your hands. Who gets the ball?
Wow. I don't know that that's been determined yet. I think Thomas is a guy that they'll probably look at in that direction at this point. Who knows? I mean, we haven't seen what the big guys can do. Dallin Hall is a guy who you would have a lot of confidence in. There's so many. I think he'll have options. I don't know that he'll have an alpha dog, but I think right now that Thomas might be the guy if I had to pick somebody at this particular moment.
Thomas, the grad student, guys, the transfer from San Francisco last year, he averaged a WCC high 19.9 points per game, the 22nd highest scoring average in all of Division I basketball. The man is a walking bucket. Comments on basketball, comments on football. We have to transition at the 10:51 marker to football. We're 6 weeks and change from the start of football season.
Yeah, and there should be room for enthusiasm on football.
I hope so, Hootie.
I've been on a bunch of sports talk shows around the state and the ACC the past few weeks, and they're asking about whether this is the year that Virginia can break out, and I think they have an opportunity to do so. In the past, there's been Tony Elliott hasn't made excuses. Other people have made them for him and the football program. The one thing he did complain about last year was after the Virginia Tech loss was that one of the differences between Tech and UVA was a matter of depth. And that's been a problem at Virginia for a long time, actually, going back to the London days for sure. They've addressed that depth through the portal, and that is no longer an excuse. There's playable depth all over the field, both sides of the ball. Maybe the only place that there's not a ton of proven depth is at tight end, but they've got guys that can play all over, and if they shouldn't have to do a patchwork of the offensive or defensive line or the secondary if somebody gets hurt. They should have enough experience to be able to throw somebody in there who can play, and because of that reason alone, I think they should be able to play with most everybody in the ACC. They dodged a bullet with the schedule makers in that they don't play any of the very upper echelon teams in the conference this year. So they've got a manageable schedule. They've got 7 home games. They've got playable depth. They've got proven quarterbacks. If you don't win, I think it's going to come down to the coaches. If the coaches can show to people that they can win games that they're supposed to win, and they can win close games, and that they don't blow games in the fourth quarter. I think it's all going to come down to coaching this year, and that's going to determine whether or not he retains his job.
I completely agree with you. And we saw some uncertainty coming out of halftime with adjustments last year with third quarter performance. Insiders and the casual fan attributes third quarter performance to adjustments made in the locker room with coaching. That seemed to be shaky last year. The coaching staff has not changed, and this is a
not at all
make or break year for Tony Elliott's team, and he's doing it with a roster that is. Do we say the roster is darn near brand new?
Pretty much. I mean, you got 31 transfer players, and I don't know how many high school kids will have an impact that won't show up. Well, some of them probably enrolled early, but I know some of them did. But usually you'll have 2 or 3 true freshmen that can have some impact on a team. But certainly a great portion of the roster is brand spanking new. No question about it.
Chad Wood, one of the finest tailbacks out of Steve Isaac's single wing attack at Western Albemarle High School, says this is absolutely do or die time for Tony Elliott. 100%.
He's absolutely right.
William McChesney on McIntyre Road. We love you, Bill. James Watson, who bleeds orange and blue. He's a Wahoo. He says, welcome back, Jerry and Jerry. Keeping in mind that all the schools like Carolina and Duke are stacking up with 5-star talent as usual, I wonder if we are taking a step ahead of anyone. It's really hard to know in football and basketball right now since everybody's writing these kids big checks and just reloading.
Yeah, well, that's a valid point. You can be signing 4- and 5-star kids, but how long is it going to take for them to develop and contribute to your team? Some of them will, but I think most of the programs now are depending on transfers to come in and shore up spots and advance starting positions at certain spots on teams. So I think the transfer portal is going to be more important than the incoming freshmen at all these programs. And certainly Carolina has taken advantage of the transfer portal with Bill Belichick. And
he's building a professional football team. Yes, he is.
And you know, they've rehauled a lot of things down there with a GM. They got an AD in waiting now to take Bubba Cunningham's place when he calls it quits.
And he's under serious fire.
Yeah, and you know, I think most of the programs in this conference are relying heavily, as they are everywhere, on the transfer portal, and you know, rightfully so. If you're allowed to do that, then you might as well take advantage of it, or you're going to be left out of the party.
Tim Bates, watching the program from Evington, Virginia, he says he enjoys the insight time and time again on the Jerry and Jerry Show. Tim, we appreciate you. We're back from vacation. It's great to be in the saddle here. I mean, I look at a team like UNC. I mean, they've completely, in a 6-month period of time, 7-month period of time, reinvented themselves.
Yeah.
They're a completely different team. You went from a Hall of Fame coach in Mac Brown, who got run out of town. Either
essentially so.
Fairly or unfairly, he got run out of town.
Right.
And you replace him with maybe the greatest football coach in history?
Certainly one of the winningest coaches in history.
Yeah. And he comes in and puts in a professional organization's mindset. And this is who Tony Elliott, who is coaching for his job, is coaching against. And this schedule, while would you say the schedule is not as challenging as last year?
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Safe to say.
No question.
Safe to say. But still not a cupcake.
No. You know, people saying 8 and 9 wins. You know.
Show me where 8 or do you agree? Do you buy that?
No, I don't.
Neither do I.
And
show me where 8 or 9 wins happen for those that say that.
There are so many 50-50 games on that schedule, and that's why I said a few minutes ago it's going to come down to coaching.
Yeah.
Can you win these games, these 50-50 games? Can you win them in the fourth quarter? Can you do what it takes not to blow a game like they have against Louisville the last couple of years and some other games that come to mind? It's going to come down to – it's not going to come down to talent this time. It's going to come down to coaching. And these guys have got to prove that they can get the job done.
That NC State matchup in week 2.
That's a huge game.
It's huge. And that's not just hyperbole from two guys who create content here.
Right.
That is a huge game here.
It's a game I would have never played.
In week 2, you schedule a rival from the ACC in a non-conference game in Raleigh.
Makes no sense to me.
Instead of a cupcake.
I would have gotten a cupcake in that.
Yeah. Hootie's words, a rent-a-victim.
A rent-a-victim. You're trying to rebuild your football program into a consistent winner, and you don't need to go out and schedule games like that. And I know NC State is not predicted to be the typical NC State team this year, but they still don't lose very often at home.
Right.
And it's a non-conference game that doesn't even count in the conference standings, and so
what's the point?
I don't get it. I know it's a easy trip financially, but still, you're trying to get in a bowl game. You're trying to get things turned around. You're trying to build momentum. Why not play somebody you know you're going to beat in that spot? That's the way Duke rebuilt its program. It's the way Wake Forest turned its program around. NC State did that to some degree years ago when they were trying to get it back together again. Then you take on the giants of the world and teams with programs a little bit better than yours. You don't do it while you're still trying to get your footing. I don't understand that. logic at all.
What's the over-under you're reading? FanDuel, I saw, had wins at 5.5.
Most of the ones I've seen have been 6 or 6.5, and that's going to be close, I think. And
Jeremy Wilson says 7-5, maybe 7-5, maybe 8-4. If you were from time to time, we're both betting man. Okay?
I'd like to see him point out where those 8 wins are.
I totally agree. I can't see 8 wins, and I'm not trying to be negative here.
I'm not trying to be negative either. I'm trying to be realistic.
Me too. If you're a betting man, I'm a betting man. 6.5, the over/under. Where would you put your money?
Wow. I'd be afraid to put my money.
Say, I wouldn't take the bet. I know. Frankly speaking, most of the times where I've bet on Virginia, I have not won.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because I'm betting with.
I mean, I don't know if you have the schedule called
I do.
up there.
I have it here.
All right. Let's Coastal Carolina.
Okay, that's one.
You should blow them away.
Right.
You blew them away on their own turf last year, right?
That's one.
Then you go to NC State. That's a very iffy proposition.
100%. Let's not even put this in the win column for NC State. So Coastal Carolina won. Then William & Mary at home. Got to give them 2 for that.
Should win.
Stanford at home should win.
Should win, but it's no guarantees.
Okay, we'll say should for Stanford. That's 3. Florida State and Charlottesville. I'm not putting that in the win column.
I wouldn't either, even though Florida State's coming off a disastrous year. But are they going to?
They're going to rebound.
You would think they would.
Too much
rebound.
talent not to rebound.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not putting Florida State in there. Louisville and Louisville. I'm not putting that in the win column.
They should have beaten them the last 2 years, and Louisville's really hard to beat in Louisville.
Right.
Particularly if you're Virginia.
Right.
I think the Virginia's only won there once, I think.
Okay, Washington State on homecoming, the October 18th.
I don't know that much about Washington State, but I would.
It's a homecoming game.
I would think it's a 50-50 game.
I'll put that in the win column.
Yeah.
There's 4. UNC and Chapel Hill.
I don't see it happening.
I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. Cal across the country, going across the country to Berkeley.
Cal was a pretty good football team last year. A lot of people didn't give them credit for it, but they were a lot like Virginia. There were a lot of games they should have won.
They lost a lot of games they should have won.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can count that.
I don't count.
That's another 50-50 game.
Right. Wake Forest and Charlottesville.
They should beat Wake Forest.
Okay, so you're at 5.
I think Wake Forest is going to take a little dip.
You're at 5. Then you close with Duke and Durham and Virginia Tech and Charlottesville. I'm not going to ask you about the Virginia Tech game because of history. Duke and Durham get you bowl eligible at 6 on our crystal ball.
That's another 50-50.
Right.
In fact, I think Virginia will, unless Duke lays an egg, I think Duke will probably be favored in that game.
Especially home in Durham. It's a good Duke program. I mean, I see it completely like him, and we hope we're wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, the man's got a sports website tied to football.
Yeah. I've been around this program for 40-some years, and I've seen all the good and all the ugly. But, again, it's going to come down to that handful of 50-50 games as to how this season's going to go.
Michael Murphy says Carla made a mistake with that scheduling of NC State. Chris West watching the program right now. He says, with all the money that was spent and a favorable schedule, anything less than 8 wins is a disappointment. Wow.
No comment.
That is pressure.
If anything less than 8 wins is a disappointment, then hold on to your hats.
Goodness gracious, 8 wins. And Chris, I appreciate your enthusiasm, and I love the content that you create, Chris West, but 8 wins is expectations. Goodness gracious. Philip Dow watching the program, Roger Voisinay watching the program. We got newspapers, radio stations, and TV stations watching us. This is an interesting comment that's from the Panhandle of Florida. If the football team struggles out of the gates and it appears this season is not heading in the right direction, is there a hook with Elliott in the middle of the season?
No, that's not Virginia's way.
Virginia doesn't do that.
They don't do that. That won't happen. Even in today's modern times of doing things more like professional teams do, I don't think Virginia would do that. I just don't think they would do that. They won't go in that direction.
Follow-up question for you. Does Tony Elliott assume play calling responsibilities?
I don't think so. I think he trusts Des Kitchens, and
Do you trust Des Kitchens?
I don't know. I don't. I'm not in the press box. Well, I'm in the press box. I'm not in the coach's box, so I don't know what's going on in there. I'm not privy to the play calling and the ear sets and all that. Tony Elliott certainly has power to override things if he doesn't like a call or whatever, but he may have more input into the game plans leading up to games, but I don't think that he will strip those responsibilities from Des Kitchens. And you know, I don't want to appear overly negative, but they go in and beat NC State. Again, NC State's not supposed to be as good as they have been, and they certainly were mediocre last year. They finished 6-7, I think, losing to East Carolina. Was it East Carolina in a bowl game? They go in and win that game. That can give them some really nice momentum, and they could get off to a 3-0 start. Maybe be in position if Florida State struggles like they did last year to pull off a win against the Seminoles. So you can look at it from that point of view as well. So that's why I think the NC State game is so pivotal. And did you really want to build your early season success or failure around a game that you didn't have to schedule to begin with?
Great insight right there from Hootie Ratcliffe. Anything else you want to touch on football? We got baseball, 7 Cavaliers drafted. We got Connor Schellenberger, an assistant coach on men's lax. Anything else on football?
I just on football, no, not right now. I think we'll get into that more heavily as the season approaches. But I'd like to give a tip of the cap to Chris Pollard for the amazing job that he and his staff have done in rebuilding this roster after
loaded.
How many? 27 guys hit the transfer portal. I mean, he has flipped one commitment after another from Duke to Virginia. He's done a great job in the portal. He's brought back a few players from the portal. Amazing. This looks like a roster that can win to me. And some of the kids that have flipped their Duke commitment to Virginia, these guys have some really strong backgrounds. So I think Virginia baseball is off to a flying start as well.
Would you got some content on JerryRatcliffe.com, 7 Virginia baseball players selected in the Major League Baseball draft. Chris Arroyo, round 5, 139 pick with the Marlins. A lot of guys, a lot of talent in the league here. Jay Woolfolk is a guy that I personally like because of his experience with football. Round 12, 367 with my Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, I mean, happy for those guys. Glad to see a lot of guys get drafted. I think that is the most, either the most or ties for the most by any Virginia team having that many guys drafted. So it was a big deal. Probably would have been more, but some of the other guys left the program and went to other programs like Henry Ford in Tennessee. I assume he didn't want to be drafted, or he probably would have been. So could have been even more had some of those guys stayed. But Virginia baseball appears to be pretty healthy, even though you lost a Hall of Fame coach and all that. But it still seems to be in really good hands right now.
If you want to get some insight into what's happening with the Major League Baseball draft and Virginia baseball, JerryRatcliffe.com, ladies and gentlemen. Another story on JerryRatcliffe.com that caught my attention. Connor Schellenberger returning to his alma mater as an assistant coach under Lars Tiffany. Lars Tiffany's program, a sub-500 record this past year, changes with the coaching staff. Connor Schellenberger is in, maybe the greatest lacrosse player in history. Certainly one of them.
He's certainly one of them. Homegrown kid. I know his dad. His dad used to be a really good golfer in our golf competition here many years ago. Scott. But yeah, Schellenberger is a incredible talent, and you would think that's a huge bonus to have him on your coaching staff. Could relate to the younger players really well, and I would think could help recruit and attract great talent. Not that they don't anyway, but just a smart move on the program's part to bring him in.
This is UVA's all-time assists and points record holder.
Yeah, I mean, he tore it up.
He's born and raised in Charlottesville. Cavaliers' only 4-time USIL first-team All-American. The only 3-time, goodness gracious, the premier award in lacrosse. He's a 3-time award finalist.
Yeah, Tourton Award.
Unbelievable. He is a national champion. He's playing professional lacrosse right now. He's an assistant coach. I mean, this is a pretty good hire here.
Absolutely. Great hire.
I mean, he's going to play with the guys.
He's a living legend in the lacrosse world. No question about it.
Future's bright, we hope, for a program that finished with a sub-500 record last year. What's in the hopper on JerryRatcliffe.com?
Well, plenty of football coming up with the ACC kickoff next week. Still have some leftovers from last week's basketball meeting we'll be writing about, keeping our eye on UVA baseball. I'm not sure where their roster stands right now. I think it's got to be getting close to filled up with all the players they've brought in. So a little bit of everything, really. So whatever interest you may have, you should be able to find it on our website.
Do we want to give viewers and listeners update on next week's show?
I'm not sure exactly what my schedule is going to be like next week. I may be in Charlotte on Tuesday. I think that's when Virginia is slated for their media session down there, so I may be preoccupied in Charlotte. We may have to figure something out.
We'll keep you posted, viewers and listeners. Jerry Ratcliffe, namesake website, JerryRatcliffe.com. He's a Virginia Sports Hall of Famer. No one covers Virginia like Jerry Ratcliffe does. He's been on the beat for how long on the Virginia beat?
Since '82, however long that is.
That's a little while.
That's a little while.
That's a little while. Judah Wickhauer behind the camera. He's fresh from a vacation in Maine. I'm fresh from a beach on Long Island. This show, the Jerry and Jerry Show, we love your viewership, your listenership, and how you direct the tempo of this program and offer your perspective and questions. I encourage all viewers and listeners to visit JerryRatcliffe.com. I'm literally on the website over breakfast each morning, or on Hootie Ratcliffe's Twitter account, where he's publishing some golden nuggets. Thank you kindly for joining us on the show. The I Love CVille show is up at 12:30 today. So long, everybody.